What's up, everybody? I see y'all was in here waiting. Hi, look who we have here, everybody. Who is it? None other than.
We've got the lead attorney here. Hope you guys are doing well. Yes, I have been invited
Yeah.
to lunch with Lauren, and I am super excited.
Yes, y'all. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Lunch with Lauren, but this is a really chill space. And honestly, I decided to open up Lunch with Lauren to have our first date, publicly, right? You didn't officially ask. I feel like I shot my shot a little bit. Would you agree?
No, listen, I was right there with you. I saw you, I guess, about a month ago, even before I was on the Lapeef show, before Lapeef had me on for a couple of weeks. And I was like, oh man, there's that black girl over there with that nose ring. What's up with her, right? So yeah, shout out to you and shout out to Lapeef for kind of bringing us together. And
Yes.
really, if I can be honest, Kevin Samuels as well, because Kevin Samuels was the one who told me to go on to the Lapeef show to try to get on. You guys, I think we're talking about marriage or divorce or relationships or something like that. And so, this is just another example of Kevin Samuels bringing black men and black women together. So shout out to KS.
And before Kevin Samuels, I got to shout out Anton, because if it weren't for Anton introducing me to JR and the whole Lapeef Network, I would not be here. So, if y'all don't know who I am, my name is Lauren Melissa. I am a struggle streamer. Okay. But I mean, I'm really good on Instagram. And so I was like, let
Facts.
me see what this YouTube world is about. And YouTube is a different beast. And I was really glad I ran into you, Lee, because you out here giving the game on really how to come up, right? Like
Listen,
this YouTube
yeah.
elementary and just your story from nothing to something in a sense, because you didn't really come from
Damn.
nothing to something. You got your own stuff going on, but I'm just saying, you know what you're talking about,
Yeah, it's
right?
it's interesting. I started this whole YouTube thing to try to help the brothers out. The women, y'all are gonna be okay. Y'all are always gonna be okay, but the brothers sometimes need some help. So I started a channel to help the brothers, but now it has kind of evolved over time. And so, in addition to helping the brothers out, I'm also helping brothers and sisters start their YouTube channel because I have made every mistake under the sun, and so anybody who has like 3,000 subscribers, anybody under 5,000 subscribers, I've got a lot of information. If you have, over 20, 40, 60,000 subscribers, if you're Lapeef, like I need to be taking classes from you, right? There's levels to this. But for the new people, for people like you who are just starting out, I know a lot. I know a lot. So I started a whole new channel, the YouTube Elementary, started the whole Patreon thing. I've been trying to get you onto this Patreon, right? Because people, what I've absolutely found is that people want to support good content creators. I have such a support system, people that hold me up for no other reason. It's not like, they'll give me a super chat and then I'll send them a t-shirt or something like that, right? I mean, just people really trying to support my message, trying to support me. And, I've talked to you enough on the phone late at night to know that people will absolutely support you as well. So
I
yes,
can put that in there.
I want you to get your Patreon up, man. I want you to get some more content up. I loved your intro. We were talking about that last night.
Mhm.
Your intro is awesome. So I see nothing but great success in your YouTube future. And I'm happy to be here to be a part of it.
Yes. I missed the super chat. Shout out to TJ, always showing love.
Oh
All
my
of the
God.
people that are always in the chat, just spitting real stuff, and I appreciate. There we go. Shout out to TJ. Thank
Yes,
you.
TJ showed up in my live yesterday and was spitting knowledge. Like this woman, and not only is she a black woman with so much knowledge and experience, but now she is also a content creator, right? She's actually part of my Patreon and she is getting her YouTube channel off the ground. And Lord knows that she has a perspective, she has a voice that needs to be heard, especially by young black women, because she has been there and she has done that. And she can put a lot of these 22-year-old, 24-year-old, 31-year-old black women on game. Like there's really no way to know what you don't know. until you
Yeah.
either experience it or, you know, one of the elders comes down, one of the people who's got the knowledge, the OGs, and says, listen, let me tell you how to avoid some mistakes. So shout out to TJ. She's gonna kill him.
Yeah, I'm like super excited that they're creators like TJ, Jessica X, and just a whole bunch of other women creators that are kind of like emerging into this. I'll call it a women's sphere, because the manosphere is already kind of created, established, and set. But it seems like there's kind of like this like gray area of like what is that out there for women. And so if you haven't already subbed to my channel, make sure you do that. I don't have new content out right now, but like I said, it's coming. So y'all just stick with me, because it's all about the journey. I think it's a lot of talk about holding women accountable and, you know, growth with women. And so I really want to take y'all on a journey with me. I think a lot of y'all have questions on like, who is Lauren? Like, where did she come from? What's her story? And the truth is, we all have a story, right? And so it's all about, and I'm not proclaiming to know anything or educate. I'm just saying, like, I'm real. Like, what you see is what you get. And I think people can appreciate authenticity.
Absolutely. Shout
Yeah.
out to Before the Billions, also an excellent content creator. Thank you so much for coming over here and supporting Lauren. Operator G as well. I rock with y'all. Fantastic.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
mean,
Look,
you're
we did tag team, and there we go.
absolutely. We're a great team. Listen, JR was listen, I was just talking about JR Wisdom too, talking about young content creator, not young in the sense of age, but young in the sense of the YouTube journey. Absolutely killing the game.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. And you're exactly right. The manosphere, oh my gosh, we are killing it right now, especially particularly the black side of the manosphere. And so many more professionals are coming in the space. So many more older black men with experience are coming into the space to drop knowledge on these young bucks. And when you look at the woman side, you know, the T side, the gossip
We
side.
know how to gossip now, okay?
It's true, but there's
Yeah.
you know, I was talking about this on my last live stream about the networks and how the brothers are so bonded together. You know, the fact that I can come over and get on Lapeef and have an excellent show with him, and then, you know, he's not going to get mad if I clip a little bit of part of his video and put it on my channel, right? And I get people from Lapeef who come over and say, "Hey man, we saw you on Lapeef." And Lapeef is all good. Anton comes on my show, right? And we have a great debate. Some, you know, we don't agree on a lot. Shout out to Anton, but it's always super respectful, always super uplifting. Like the man side is so tight, and it's getting
Yeah.
tighter and tighter by the moment. But then you look at the woman side, like you were saying, and it's just it seems disorganized and a lot of backbiting. So I think your idea about, you know, kind of a woman sphere, Jessica X put that out there yesterday. She was like, "Hey, if any women want to start a panel," it was sounding kind of like a Lapeef idea type of thing that she's trying to get together, right? I would love to see you and Jessica kind of link up and do y'all's thing.
Yes, I'm definitely going to connect with her, but I think there's something to be said about like the manosphere really having it together, because like we just talked about, like Anton took me under his wing, right? Anton brought me onto the Lapeef Network, and it was like the men like saying, "Look, I see something in you," and it's not nothing overly sexual, because I feel like that's something that women have to overcome, is like we get placed into these pots, right? Either you're very feminine and you are very sexy and you exude all of these things, or you hold all of these masculine ways and you're put in this box, or you're very gossipy and catty and you're put in this box. And so I really think that there's a way for just women to be like on a platform and not have to be in a box. And I think that's what people will see from me, is like, you can't really put me in a box. Like the one thing that I really like pride about myself is you never know what you're gonna get, right?
Right.
So I think that's something to look forward to. But enough about me. I just wanted to like give the people a little bit of a sneak peek of like me, because they don't really know who I am. They think I'm a mute. They think I am deaf on the Lapeef show. The Lapeef Let's Talk show. Y'all think I don't talk. Y'all think I don't do nothing. But one thing about me is, when there's something that needs to be said, I'm gonna say it. I don't feel the need to jump into a conversation or a debate for the sake of debating. Like, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember when I saw that comment. It was either on my video, I think, and the guy was like, "Oh, you know, Lauren's so beautiful. She's so great. I want a deaf girlfriend too." And I was like, "What? What?" And I think I sent you a text. I was like, yo, listen, it's not a shot. And if it is, okay, no problem. Like, deaf people are great too. But I was like, are you deaf? People,
I
because
was like, wow.
but it's because you don't talk very much. You're more reserved, a lot more feminine than what a lot of people in this sector are used to seeing. We're used to seeing like the K's, right? The in your face, and I'm going to argue you down, and you're not going to beat me. You like we're mano a mano, right? And I think a lot of times that's what a lot of Black men are kind of pushing back.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think Kevin Samuels is kind of the leader on that, about being feminine and how femininity will get you so far as a woman, as opposed just to this kind of, I'm going to show you, I'm going to shout you down. And so I think that's a real plus that you have. So many men gravitate towards you because you are different in that aspect. Have you always been that way? Growing up, were you more reserved? Did people think you were deaf? Kind of what happened?
Did people think I was deaf, Lee? No. Actually, I was outspoken. Like I would always be like, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And I would really sometimes cut deep. And so I think like as I got older, I kind of scaled back a little bit and did more listening before biting back. It was a lot of growth. I'm not even gonna lie. I was not always like that. So I am very like cognizant of like how I show up into spaces. And that's why I'm careful about like, when I enter into a conversation, like, what am I going to say? Because you yourself will literally take somebody's words and be like, no, you said this, right? So I am not about to just jump into a conversation and then have to backpedal because people like you will trip you up. And I'm not here for that.
Listen, I'm going to get you in. Listen, let me just tell you, let me
And
warn you.
you're
It's hard to date an attorney. It really is, because we're always listening. Women, a lot of times, they will think that they are these great communicators. They communicate so much better than the men, and that's what you always hear. All men don't communicate well. Women communicate so much better, and it's not true. It is absolutely not true. Now, I will tell you that women communicate more. Right? Women absolutely communicate more. You look at Kay, for example. There's not a lot of men who's going to communicate more than her. But in terms of better, I've been trained over 20 years as an attorney to actually listen to arguments, evaluate them, break them down logically. And that's not something over 2 decades that you can cut off. Right. And so every single, you're gonna find out that like dudes are gonna be listening to you, and you might have a little bit to learn, but that's okay because we're all learning, right? And in relationships, there's nothing wrong with growth. Right. So,
yeah,
but
you are
yeah,
100%.
it's a little tough day with an attorney. But I think you have the right. I think you absolutely have the right mentality. I'm not sure Kay's cut out for it.
Shout out to Kay. Kay's my girl. Okay. People aren't here for this. They want to get into the nitty gritty. So I have some questions for you, Lead.
It's
And I
interesting
just
though.
want to
Yeah.
know.
And let me say though, shout out to Kay. And I'm not picking order, but every time someone mentions you almost in my comment, it's immediately followed up by a comment about Kay. So many people have a love-hate relationship with Kay.
Well, that's because you was trying to get 2 women at one time, Lee. Did you not understand? I don't like. Did you miss that? You wanted the 1 and the 2, and it was 1 and 2, and I already told you that ain't how it went down. Okay,
Listen,
so no.
I was learning from Lapeef. Like Lapeef set that up, right? Shout out to Lapeef, right? He was giving me options, right? That's what Kevin Samuels said I had, right? So,
Sure.
no, but yeah, shout out to Laura, to Kay. I'm not picking on her, but people, man, they have a love-hate relationship with her.
Lord. Okay. So people want to know, they want to know, what was your first impression of me? Like you said, you noticed me on the show, but when you came, like you noticed me from watching the show one time, but then you actually came on the panel. So like, what was your first impression?
Yeah,
I can probably guess what that is.
it was hard because you didn't say anything. Like you would just say, you would kind of wait for your turn. What I noticed over there is like, Amira, that's her name. Amira, she waits for her turn too. But Courtney and especially Kay, they don't wait. It's like double dutching. They see a shot and they jump in. They see an opening. But
do you notice that though, that no one really says anything about Amira, that when she waits, it's fine. But Lauren, you need to jump in there, hurry up. I think there's something to be said about wanting the Black woman to really jump into a fight, and not the fight literally, but like a verbal like debate. They don't They wasn't checking for a mirror to jump in. They just like to look at her. But for
Well,
me, it's like they can't do that.
that's interesting. I think that's an interesting observation. I will say that I think you're more sensitive to it than regular people because it's about you. We're always more sensitive. I can go in my comment section and see 9 comments that say, "Oh, lead attorney, you're so great. Oh, lead attorney, you're on point." And I see that one comment, "Oh, lead attorney on some BS," and that's the one that I remember, right? Because we always remember the negative stuff. I will tell you as an outsider, someone who's not you, that when I see the comments about you, they are super positive. Maybe 1 out of 40 might say, "Oh, well, you need to jump in a little bit more," but that 1 out of 40 is going to be the one that you
No.
pick up on. I had my live stream yesterday, and people were like, "Oh, well, how much will Lauren charge me to take her underwater in a pool?" I was like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? I'm talking about Tasha K. Why are you bringing her up, right? So it was super weird. But so I think you're focusing maybe a little bit more on the negative than the positive, because people absolutely love you. And so, maybe 1 or 2 people, 3 or 4 people have said you need to jump in. But if you compare those with all of the other comments supporting you and Amira, I mean, it would just be so lopsided.
Yeah. I love Amira. Amira's my girl. I just wanted to point out the observation because outside of the comments, I get messages in my inbox like, "You need to speak up more. You need to say more." And so I was just curious if like what is why do y'all want me to talk so much, right? I'm
Yeah.
and two, I went to school communications, and so broadcasting, not communications, y'all. Kevin Sam is gonna jump down that tree. Oh, there you go with the communications degree. But no, but I went to school for broadcasting, and so I had to write my own like stories, shoot my own stories, edit them, and package them. And so being able to share a narrative is something that I've kind of like learned. So just that's just something that I have to work through, right? Um,
Absolutely.
but anyways, you mentioned Tasha K, and we got to get into it. Tasha K kind of went in lead,
Oh my God.
and I wouldn't say it's for the right reasons, right? Because she didn't have the story together, whatever. But the people want to know, like, what's your type? What is it? White women, Asian women? Like, what do you do? Because Tasha K seemed like she had the tea.
Listen, and it was super weird. Like, and listen, to be fair, we're both down here in Atlanta. All right, fair enough. I'm actually from here. I'm from Decatur. I don't know where Tasha's from, but she did sound like, she knew me.
Yeah, she did.
And
I was like,
yeah.
did y'all go to ninth grade together? Like, what's happening?
Right. No, I mean, it was weird. And she also mentioned, I'm not sure if she mentioned, some type of email exchange that was going on, between us, but we never spoke on the phone. I've never met Tasha K. I did about 130 videos on my channel uploads, and this was only my third one. Right. So people are like, "Oh, you're cloud chasing for Tasha K," but out of 125, 130, 135 videos, I've only talked about you 3 times. That's not a very fast chase if it's a cloud chase, right? But yeah, she doesn't know me. Now, let me be honest. I've never dated a white woman, never dated an Asian, but a lot of people would think that is a good thing. And I'll tell you, I'm in my mid 40s. I'm 44, born and raised here in the South, right? I think if you go out to California, right, maybe if you go to Minnesota, maybe if you go to New York, you will see a lot of interracial couples every day. I can tell you, living down here in Atlanta, I might see a white black interracial couple maybe 2 or 3 times a year. It is not seen down here. And having said that, it's 2021, so times are way more progressive than they were back in the day. Back in the day when I was coming up, when I went to UGA, 30,000 students there, tens of thousands of white women, and there were just maybe like 4 or 5,000 black people, and the community was tight. And back in the day in Athens, Georgia, if you were a black man and you got caught walking down the street holding hands with a white woman, that was fine, but you had to stay over there for the rest of your college career. You could never go back. I mean, there was a sisterhood that was so solid, it would not let you slide. There were a few brothers who tried to have their cake and eat it too, right? Who tried to, there were some brothers that got a pass, like the athletes and things like that. But for the regular black dudes, man, we had to stay on code, because if you messed up one time, And honestly, there wasn't even, I mean, there was that social pressure there, but because of all the things, it being such a conservative state and how race relations are, just to give you an example of how Georgia was.
Mhm.
When I say Georgia, I mean UGA. That's what we call the
Okay.
University of Georgia. When I tell you how tight Georgia was, we had some racist fraternities,
Mhm.
and they would, one in particular, they had cotton growing in the front of their frat house,
What?
and they were paying homeless black men to go pick it. Right?
What?
Yes, like this is the Georgia that I'm talking about.
So what are you saying? So if you weren't like being that you experienced that, you just couldn't see yourself dating a white person?
At all, at all. I've only dated blacks up until I went to Mexico, and I've lived in Mexico off and on for 5, 6 years.
Okay.
So I've dated Hispanics, and I've dated black women, but that's it. When Tasha K was saying that I date all these Beckys, I've dated a couple of mixed chicks, right? Biracial, let's say. So I
Mhm.
don't know if you want to count those. It's kind of weird to even talk about this because I did my 23andMe a couple years ago. I found out that I'm 18% white myself,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Yeah. Have you done it? I mean, you look
I
probably maybe
haven't.
like 24, 25%. It's
I am
weird.
I am curious to know. Maybe I'll do it and I'll share my results because I am interested.
Yes, I was surprised that I was 18% white. And it
Oh
shows
God.
you, yes, and it shows you exactly like, what part of Northern Europe that your ancestors came from. And
Huh.
I'm like, dude, you never would have thought. And so when you are looking at that paperwork and it's staring you right in the face, telling you you're 18%, you
Right.
start to question, okay, what does this even mean about dating, interracially
Right.
if so many of us are mixed in with each other, right?
Right.
But yes, I've never dated a white woman, never dated an Asian. So I don't know where, but again, I think that this was, shaming language. And maybe in California, if you date white women, it's cool as a black man because they're so liberal out there. Or maybe in New York. In Georgia, it's still a thing, and we're both down here. So we both have that mentality, that mindset, and it's an old school mentality. And
Mhm.
some people would call it trauma, to be honest, because slavery was so hardcore down here and race relations were so tight. I mean, we're right next door to Alabama, right? Which
Right.
is right next door to Mississippi.
Mississippi.
That's
Right.
exactly, I mean, it's tight down here in Georgia. And so when
Yeah.
she says, "Oh, you're dating all these white women and you don't mess with black women," that's the thing. In fact, right before I got on here, I got a comment, a notification. Someone said, some black woman said, so she said, "I unsubscribe. You don't like black women, and
Gee.
that's messed up." Right? So what Tasha K said actually worked to try to get people to turn against me when
Yeah.
I've never dated a white woman in my life. Now, again, I'm not saying that because I'm proud of it. I'm telling you that that could absolutely be some type of trauma event. Men are going to tell you that there are attractive women in every race. There are attractive Asians, attractive
Yeah.
whites, attractive blacks, attractive Hispanics,
Women
attractive
in general
Indians. Exactly.
are
But for
attractive.
you to say, I will never date a person of this particular race, I mean, it does seem a little conservative. And I
Yeah.
don't think it's like that now in Georgia. Maybe for the 17-year-olds in high school, maybe they freely date, maybe the 23-year-olds. But you start getting into your 30s, you're like, okay, a
Yeah.
line starts to be drawn because of how you grew up back in the day.
That's interesting. Yeah, I was on Anton's show a while back, and he asked me about if I would date outside of my race. And my preference is I would prefer to date black men. It doesn't mean that I don't like white men because I've gone on one date with a white man before. Just the
Oh,
client.
really?
I have, and the city that I live in is like largely white, and so it's not. Yeah, it's just all about
There
where you
you
grow up.
go.
But I don't want to get.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all about where your environment. In Michigan, in general, you will find a ton more interracial couples than you would down south. So your point is definitely valid.
This is so. Let me just cut you off here just for a second. There's a content creator who's into fitness. He's new. He's starting his channel, and he's in Alaska, and he's a brother. And he's into fitness, but he also wants to talk about relationships. He's older, maybe 40, wants to put some men on game. But he's a brother born and raised in Alaska. And there are a few blacks, but all his black friends, they're all married to white women. And he was asking me, he was like, listen, Lead, I want to kind of get into the manosphere space. I want to talk to men about relationships. But I'm like, yeah, but you got that white wife. They are going to use it against you. Not the men, but the sisters, and even maybe some of the men. It's hard. I mean, when Tachike says, oh, well, you like white women, it's definitely a weapon. People still look at it kind of side-eyed.
Yeah. We go to stay with Tasha K for a minute. Yeah. She also called you stiff hip. What did she mean? Look at your face.
I don't understand that. I play tennis. I'm a 4.0 in tennis. I have been doing I do Latin dance, right? So I salsa, merengue, zapateado, cumbia. I do all of that.
Wow.
So for me, I mean, I'm probably one of the most I don't want to say that, but just in terms of a regular black person,
you have more rhythm than most, you think?
I mean, it's not like black people, we don't really do all of these Latin dances on an 8-count beat, right? You know what I'm saying? So, all of us, we are rhythmic people, right? We come from the land of the drums, okay?
Right.
But I'm just in terms of moving, a lot of our dances aren't very, there's not a lot of movement to them. What do black people, let's say black people 35 and older, what do you really do? I mean, it's a 2-step maybe. You see what I'm saying?
Well, in Detroit, we ballroom dance. We ballroom, and that's a thing. So if you don't, for me, I would want a guy to have rhythm, because if we can't ballroom and we can't,
What is ballroom?
It's okay. They do it in Chicago too. But Chicago and Detroit's ballroom looks a little bit different. I can't really describe it. I mean, yeah, y'all look it up on YouTube if you know what ballrooming is, but it's a slow dance kind of thing, but you're not 2-stepping. It's you're actually dancing with a pair, right? I don't know how to describe it.
So you ballroom?
I do ballroom. Yep. But it's very hard to find. Yeah, it's like stepping, ballroom stepping, or whatever. But it's very hard.
Jesus, I like that.
It's very hard to find men that like to step or ballroom. Either they ain't got no rhythm, or they just don't do it. Especially men my age. Maybe men older do it, but they're typically married and they already have a dance partner. So I do probably in my early 20s, I was going to every first, I think Monday or Tuesdays, they had a ballroom joint out here, and I would be the youngest one in the room. But I would be taking people's asking them, hey, can I dance with your guy? Because I wouldn't have a partner. So y'all, yeah, it's a struggle out here if you do have rhythm and you want to dance.
It's true. Especially before what was going on last year, I would go to socials all the time, and it would be a first Friday or third Friday, something what you're talking about. But these were Latin dances, so it was mainly cumbias, really mainly bachatas and salsas, right? That's what they were playing at these socials. And you would see a ton of different Hispanics from different regions, Colombians, Dominicans, some Mexicans, a lot of people from here. But there wouldn't really be a lot of black men. There would be a ton of black women. Black women can go on some salsa. They will sign up for the classes.
We got rhythm.
Man, shout out to the black women, yes. Okay. But the black men, it really wasn't such a thing. And in fact, a lot of times when I would show up, people would, of course, see that I'm black, but they would assume that I'm Dominican, or they would assume that I'm from another country, because African-American men do not have the especially once you get 30 and up, right? You don't really have the reputation of being dancers.
Yeah, and your hips is dying.
Yeah, so I don't know where the stiff hip thing came from, but I assure you that if you saw me on the salsa floor, you would not say that I'm stiff hip.
Writes notes to self. We got to make that happen. So what are you? Are you mixed with anything? Like they said, people assume that you're Dominican. So what do what do you identify as?
No, I mean,
People,
people assume that I'm Dominican because black men really don't dance these Latin dances. Dominicans do, right?
right?
Dominicans, Jesus, you give them a bachata, they'll kill it. So, when you see a African American, you just don't naturally, especially in a place that's full of Hispanics, you assume that that person is Hispanic. At least that's what I've seen a lot. But
Yeah,
yes, of course. Listen, I'm from Decatur. I'm from the deck. Like, who's from the deck? We're all everybody from Atlanta. You got Ti in Atlanta. You got Outkast. I can name all of the rappers. Atlanta is strong with rappers, and it's kind of ghetto, to be honest. It's not like I grew up, middle class or anything. Uh, so I'm black, right? Now, having said that, I can say that I'm black, but then I look at my 23andMe and it's like, hey, don't forget about this 18%, boy. Right? You
okay.
can you
I
can
mean,
say
I
you're
can
from
see how
Decatur.
people, even if I didn't see you dance, I could see how people would think that you're like probably Dominican or whatever. Like I could see it.
Yeah, and until I start, and then they'll start speaking to me in Spanish, but then I'll respond to them in Spanish, but my Spanish has a Mexican accent, which is
Mm.
weird to them because it's hard to you don't see a lot of black men who are fluent in Spanish. You really don't.
No.
Certainly not in Georgia. Maybe there's some in California. Maybe there's some in Texas, I would imagine. But in
Hmm.
Georgia, I mean, there might be 10 of us to be honest. It's really not, it's not that many. And so they would assume if you're speaking Spanish that you are Dominican or you're from one of these other countries. But then when they hear my Mexican accent, it throws them off. So I kind of like you, a little mysterious. I got a little enigmatic, right? I think that's what a lot of people are attracted to you for. You kind of got this mysterious thing going on because you don't talk so much, right? Some people think you're deaf. So shout out
Relax.
to you.
Listen, I know how to work a room, y'all. Just bear with me, okay? Dang, y'all not know how to give me a hard time. Okay. I want to like jump ship a little bit. Just for all y'all watching, we are going to open up the phone lines, so get ready for that. But I'm going to jump into a kind of a topic because I really want to know, like, your take on this is what should both men and women look out for as red flags when approaching marriage? Like you was it family law that you do or
Yeah, I'm a family
so,
law attorney. I've been doing this for 20 years. So I have a lot of different insights. Some insights a lot of people won't agree with, but that's because a lot of people don't have my experience. Right. I am
mhm,
believe me when I tell you, I have seen some things in these family law courtrooms, right? I've seen why marriages do not work over and over and over again. Shout out to Kareen. Oh, she changed it. She said Kareen, not Karen. I remember she would come on. I'd be like, here. She'd be like, nope, don't even do me like that, Kareen. Then it went to Kareen, and that's not even enough. So now it's Kareen, not Karen. She's just gonna be more explicit every single time.
you said you're
So
gonna get it right by any means necessary.
man, put some respect on my name. Shout out to Kareen. She's like, don't trip, not Karen. She does not want that.
So tell
Oh,
us,
okay. What was the question?
since you have the experience, like give us some things that we should look out for, like red flags that both men and women need to look out for, like
For marriage.
when approaching marriage, right?
All right. Well, let me talk to the men first. I don't know. Since it's lunch with Lauren, I would
No,
assume that.
do you, boo, do you?
My first thought always is go straight to the men because again, my channel is set up for men, but I love the women too, right? Let me try this from a woman's perspective. First of all, and this is gonna hurt. All right, this is gonna hurt. First of all, you need to decide if you are marriage material, right? Most women, I think, just assume that they want to get married. There are a lot of benefits for women to get married. There is absolutely many motivations. But, once the woman is married, she has kind of secured those benefits already. She's got them locked in. But the question is, can she go from being married to becoming a wife? Like, do you really want to be a wife? And what does that mean to you? Most women they never answer these, they never ask themselves these questions, it seems to me. It just seems like, well, I want to get married. And once they're married, we're safe. Like we slid into home plate. We're here. But then to think about what it means to be a wife, not a mother, because I think a lot of women want children and they think about motherhood. But so they'll want to be the bride, and they'll certainly want to be the mom of the two kids. But where does the husband actually come in? Right. So I think a lot of women need to do some self-reflection, but men even more so. Women don't really have a lot to lose in terms of a marriage. If they get married and they get their kids, they get a couple of kids, a kid or two, and then it doesn't work out, well, they can divorce and move on to the next guy. Right. Now they're going to be a little older and it's going to be harder to find men, but if they keep themselves up, there are men out here. There really are. Maybe not the top selection, but if a woman is reasonable, she can absolutely get married, get her two kids that she wants, get divorced, and then move on to another marriage. And I think it's what you're seeing. Like 70% of the divorces nowadays are filed by women. So these women are absolutely having, how you can have a starter home and then move into your regular home.
Right.
Women out here are having starter marriages. So there's really not so much that a woman can.
Way to put it. When you say that.
Listen, I've been doing this a long time. Like I can see trends and dynamics. So a lot of women don't have a lot to lose. So even if you make a mistake, if me and you make a bet and the bet is for $5, even if I lose, okay, here's my $5, but it's not like I'm going broke. Whereas men, on the other time, men can be making $250,000 bets, $500,000 bets. And if a man loses a $500,000 bet, that's going to send him back years. So men particularly need to be cognizant of what it means to be married. Are you husband material? Right? A lot of times you'll hear the manosphere, the red pill community in particular, they'll say, oh, well, men need to vet women better. But that's the second step. That's ignoring the first step. The first step is to look at you. And then the manosphere or the red pill community say, oh, well, we said that, get your finances right, be able to take care of a woman. No, that's not even the point. Look at you emotionally. Are you fit to be in a marriage, right? There is this huge content creator. Some of you might know him. His name is AMS, also down here. Everybody's here in Atlanta. We got AMS, Alpha Male Strategies. We got Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels is down here. Shout out to your girl, Tasha K. Tasha K is down here. Larry Reed. Shout out to Larry Reed Live. Larry Reed is down here. Tommy Sotomayor is down here. Star Report is down here. Rue Bates is down here. See, I'm down here. It seems like the only person that's not down here, Lauren, is, I'm not sure if you're going to move anytime soon, but I mean, it sounds like Atlanta is the place to be for YouTubers. So I'm not really sure where you are. Maybe you want to, get your priorities together if you want to be this YouTuber.
Nah, listen, not talking about priorities.
Listen, Atlanta. Listen, are all the goats not down here in Atlanta? I mean, Kevin Samuels down here, Tasha K. Kwame Brown is down. He's down the street in Brunswick. Right. The heavy hitters are down here in Atlanta. So, but anyway, men should stop to, forget about your finances for a second. Forget about the woman for a second. Just look at you. Alpha Male Strategies, right? And some of y'all might know his reputation, but let's just say he's a ladies' man, right? And he's always having, multiple women. Well, what did he say on one of his lives? He said, guys, I know y'all know me for spinning plates. I've showed you my receipts. I've showed you my infield game, showed you all these videos of all these different women coming in and out of the crib. Guess what? He said, my best relationship was a monogamous, long-term relationship. And not only that, guess what? It was sexless. It was sexless. My best relationship, the person that I vibe with the most and was in a long-term relationship, wasn't cheating at all. It was sexless.
Yeah.
Now you say, well, how is that a great relationship? Exactly. Well, he said it was sexless because in him, he gets tired of having the same woman sexually very quickly. And so at some point, they stop having sex, not because of her, which is what I see all the time. A woman will get 2 kids in a marriage and cut it off. Like, I'm a mother now, right? All the stuff that I was doing when I was a girlfriend, just remember those times because they are gone. White, especially white women. Shout out to the white women. Yes, are there white women who have 3, 4, 5, 7 kids? Yes, some of them don't cut it off. But I have seen they will cut it off and not feel bad, right? But it wasn't his girl, it was him. He
Right.
said that he just lost the desire to have sex with this woman. And all men can kind of understand a little bit where he's coming from. I'm not trying to put him out. Men know what he's talking about. A woman doesn't know. Lapeef knows, right? We men know. Rilla knows, right? But so you say if you are the type of man who is going to lose physical attraction with your wife in 6 to 12 months, should you be married? Should you be married? The answer is no. Shout out to Roger. Roger knows. Right now, some
Right.
men can stave this feeling off for 15, 20, 30 years and just still go through with it. Some men, after 6 months, it's like, I gotta cheat because I'm not attracted to you anymore. Your character is great. You have a great personality, but I love you. My heart loves you, but I cannot get aroused anymore because I've hit it 500 times. Listen, are we going to be real with Lunch and Lauren? Are we going to be real?
That's all
Right?
we can ever be.
Listen, after 500 and first time, it's like, okay, I don't even know what we're doing anymore. Right? So a man like that, men like that, should not get married. That has nothing to do with vetting the woman. That has nothing to do with getting your finances together, nothing to do with you getting a better job. That has something to do with you. And that should be the very first step. Why am I looking at you, Lauren, as a potential bride, a potential wife for me, when I myself am incapable of handling a marriage? Right. So there's a lot of things that I see that the men in the red pill community, even the men in the manosphere, they don't have this experience that I have. 2 decades in divorce court, listening to why marriages are falling apart.
Wow. All right.
I mean, I could keep going, but I don't know if you want to call some people up. I know you're on the clock over here. I can talk for 7 hours.
All right. All right. Hey, is it Elam?
Yeah.
All right. You got a little your audio kind of like it's like got a little whistle to it.
Whistle.
All right.
Takes one to know.
All right. Not quite, but go ahead. Get your question out and we'll try to answer. Or your statement.
Okay, the real question is, are men truly like, are they really like in tune with God, and they already know the rules? So if you breaking the rules, how do you expect to get a good woman, and vice versa for a man, for a woman? I mean, so people are sitting around complaining about how to get a man, but you have no morals, you have no standards. You're gonna cheat on the woman, or the woman's gonna cheat on you. So it works both ways. So God is not gonna reward you with anything, and you don't deserve a marriage.
Okay. People are saying they can't quite hear you. So I'll try to repeat the question. You're saying that people that they don't have morals, they don't have standards or values, and because of that, they're not capable of marriage, and yet they're entering into marriages. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they can't. Can you hear me better now, or what? No?
Try to talk a little louder. People are saying that this is a little low.
People aren't deserving of the best thing that can happen to a man or a woman is marriage, and then the child. But nobody's putting God first, and nobody's saying anything about having values and morals.
Got it.
You know what I mean? There's no morals, no morality. You running around these streets doing whatever. And why should you? You don't deserve it. You don't get a car for free. You don't get a house for free. So why should God bless you with being married when you truly in your heart are not deserving of it?
Yeah, well, let me tell you, some women in divorces get houses and cars for free. I've seen it, number one. Number two, I hear what you're saying about people not being deserving of marriage. But sometimes we need to step back and think about what a marriage is. Me and Lauren can go to Las Vegas and get married in 7 minutes. I mean, it's not a lot of deserving. Now, if you're saying, oh, well, you got to put God first and all this religion, I hear you. And in fact, I get questions from Muslims all the time saying, Lead, I don't even necessarily really want to be married, but my religion, I have to get married. How do you think I should go about vetting a woman in my marriage, being that it's going to be this Muslim type of ideal, right? So when you start putting religion in it, I'm out. Like
it's not religion.
No, but it was when you start talking about God and all of this. When you start putting,
that's the root of it. That's the root of it.
Fine. All I'm saying is when you put the root of it in it, then I'm out. I don't know what you want me to tell you. I don't have any. When Muslims,
that's the thing. Most
wait. When Muslims talk about their religious marriages, you know, shout out to Abba. I did a Abba collab with Abba on Saturday, and he was talking about divorces and Sharia law and all that. I just sit back and listen. So I'll listen to you. If you say marriage is the best thing that could happen to a man or a woman, and it needs to be under God, then I'll just listen to you because I don't have any input, to be honest, after that.
Yeah. So the thing is most Black people are atheists. They don't believe in God.
All right.
They say I'm spiritual.
Oh, listen. Hey, listen. Yeah. Okay, Eli. I hear you.
Hey, I'm 36 years old. I've been married 16 years.
All right. Well, listen.
Yeah, we gotta rotate through. We got some people coming up, but next time you spit a fact like that, I want to know where you got it from, because Black people are the most spiritual people.
Yeah, but look at what they're doing.
Just because they're not living by the book doesn't mean that they're not spiritual. They don't have, I mean.
Yeah, and like, show me all these white people that use the wait. Show me all these white people that are living spiritually. Like, you're gonna call the Black people out. Black people aren't living spiritually. I don't know how much contact you have over there with that big clock of yours with white people. I contact white people every single day. I see how white people are living inside their houses. I don't know when's the last time you have actually talked to white people about what's going on inside their house and listen to the real stories.
Okay.
Like, you're talking about the Black community. You're not even looking at the white community, and you come for us. White people are not out here living all spiritually. So don't just point out the Black stuff when you don't know how these white people are living.
But Elam, thanks for calling. We're gonna have someone else come through.
I know what I'm talking about, man.
All right, it's up to you.
I don't agree.
Fair enough.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that for you to be like, I'm not okaying the fact that you are spiritual and you can live, not according to his word. I'm not saying that, and we're not about to get all spiritual over here. You can go to my channel for that, and we'll talk more about that. But I'm not condoning that you believe in God and you basically disobey everything that's there. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what's up, Before the Billions? How are you?
Before the Billions in the house. How are you doing?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hi.
You look like you in the same room as that last brother. Y'all got
Yeah, I gotta chill. I'm
just messing with you. You got a YouTube channel, don't you?
Yes, sir, I do.
What's your YouTube channel? Tell us a little bit about it.
What?
I'm sorry. This ain't my show. I'm sorry. I'll be shouting my boys out. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lauren. Go ahead.
Tell us what your YouTube is.
I'm sorry, Lauren. I'm sorry. Come on,
where you need to be.
My bad, Lauren. I'm taking over.
Attorney. What's up, everybody? My name is William from Before the Billions, and I am a professional data engineer where I go over discussions and also many different interviews and things on how to get into the tech industry. So you can check out my channel at Before the Billions.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Before the Billions. Shout out to Lapeef and shout out to Lauren. I apologize. I'm acting like I'm at home over here.
That's okay. Well, that's all.
Yeah. What do you think about this? What questions do we have for this young man, Lauren? What do you want to ask him?
No, he has questions for us. He probably. What do you want to know?
Yeah, I was going to ask both you guys a question. So, lead attorney, I'll go to you first. Oh, actually, no, ladies first, right? So, Miss Lauren, what advice would you give to younger women on before they even consider getting married? What advice would you give to them?
Okay, one, I'm not married, right? So I would. This is just. I'm not married yet.
Yeah, if she was married, I wouldn't be here. I got other stuff to
do. But I think, what advice would I give to a woman before they get married is to get to know who they are. Know who you are, because when you get married, it's just, you just put a mirror in front of you, your true self, and kind of like leading on what was Lead was saying earlier when he was just talking about men really knowing, like being in touch with themselves, mentally, emotionally, all of that. The same would apply for women, and even more important for women, because our emotions lead us most of the time. It's imperative that we are in touch with that part of ourselves. And when you, I hear a little echo too, so just FYI. And so when you, just be in touch with your emotions, and then when you are in a relationship with someone else, like, you have less and less time to kind of focus on you. You have to share your time. And so before you even get into a relationship, I wouldn't even say marriage, just make sure you get to know yourself. And I'm going to drop a video on like the reasons why I'm still single. But part of that is just, you just need the time, especially if you kind of wasted it in your 20s, like living ratchetly. Okay.
That's what we want to hear about. You had some ratchet years. Those are some interesting videos. Those will get clicks and views. Let's hear about Lauren's ratchet years.
I'm gonna make a whole video because I think that's the number one question is like, one, who is Lauren? Who is this chick? And then two, why is she still single? Like, that's the number one question. So I can talk for hours about that, but I'm gonna like make a little video and like put it out there so like y'all could understand and see, like, everybody wasn't like born super feminine. Like, sometimes like these are things that you have to learn along the way. So for me, like I said, it's all about the journey. It's about process. I do have work I need to do, and I'm very transparent about that. And so I just, for the real girls out there that ain't got it all the way together, that's working on it, I'm with you. I feel you.
Yeah. What are the couple of the things that you think you have to work on to kind of get yourself up to speed?
More listening and less reacting. I think Black women, or just women in general, are always like on the defensive mode, right? Like, sometimes we've been in spaces where we've been silenced, or we can't speak our mind or talk. And so, anytime someone questions us, we like, why you want to say that? Why you doing this? And it's no, like, let's step back, assume positive intent, and really think about how you're going to react. And that's something that I'm working on myself. So I think that's just one of the many things that I need to work on. We should work on before entering into any type of relationship.
I think that's excellent. You'll hear a lot of Black women say that they're working on themselves. Every other Black woman on Kevin Samuels says that they're working on themselves, but you never really see the results. But if you're saying that you are working on yourself and to listening more and to not reacting so fast, and then someone sees you, for example, on the Lapeef Network, it is clear that your work on yourself has really paid so many dividends.
Yeah,
right?
I'm
Your work shows.
Also asking yourself questions like throughout months, weeks. Like, I always take a temperature check with my friends. Like, what kind of friend am I? How am I showing up? What kind of daughter am I to you, mom, dad, my brothers? Like, what kind of sister am I? Like, I'm always taking a temperature check of like how I'm showing up, because you can get so wrapped into like every day and reacting to how people respond, like, respond to you or like show up, that you lose sight of yourself. And so I just don't ever want to get to that point where I forget like who I am at the core. So yeah.
Absolutely. Did she answer your question before the billions?
Yeah, she did. So I have a question for you now, lead attorney.
Okay.
And also, people are saying that I'm a third wheel now. Shout out to you guys.
He's got the sound effects. What do you got over there? What's your soundboard?
This is a Moana caster.
Moana caster. How much was it?
It was like $140.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice. How many sound pads do you have on it?
It's a lot of them. I don't know exactly.
Awesome.
I just got it recently, so
Fantastic.
Test it out on the show. I love it.
So the question for you, lead attorney, is the opposite, right? What advice would you give to young men before they get married?
In addition to trying to figure out themselves, which is what I was also talking about, another piece of it, I mean, Jesus Christ, it's hard not to put prenup up, at the top of the list, right? Because a divorce can really wreck you. Do you necessarily need a prenup? No. But if you're not going to get a prenup, hopefully you don't have a lot of assets, and you will not have a lot of assets going forward. Or hopefully you have a lot of assets, but then your wife also has a lot of assets. What you never really want to be, well, never is a strong word, where you're most at risk as a man is if you are here economically and she is here. You know, if both of y'all are here, your divorce is going to be fine. And Lord knows if she's up here, you're going to come out with the bag in the divorce. The problem is so many of you men, you wind up here with your stuff. Now, if you wind up here is when prenup is absolutely going to help you out. Are there times when you're like this and you don't need a prenup? Yes. Why? Because the woman is super feminine. She's not going to fight you. She's going to divide it more or less, you know, down the line, which is really, it's going to be in her favor anyway, let's be honest. But she's really not going to take you to the cleaners. But you have other women who you will not know that these are the type of women in the divorce, and they're going to try to take every single nickel from you. And they're going to get a lot more nickels than you bargained for, a lot more. That's where the prenup can come in and save you from losing everything, right? So all men should, and I know this isn't necessarily talked about a lot in the red pill community. In fact, it's talked about in the opposite way. A lot of the red pill community believes that prenups do not work. Now that's a lie, and they absolutely do work, but that's certainly up there. Apart from that, I mean, you should really just kind of look at your woman. And what I would say is that you don't necessarily need to have a woman that's feminine for your marriage to work and for you to be happy. Because, you know, what's a marriage that works? Is it, you know, a marriage can last 40 years, but if you're unhappy, to me, it hasn't worked. You know, you want your marriage to last a long time, but you also want to be happy in it. You don't want to be suffering. And what I have seen is that what you want is a discrepancy. You want a gap between your masculinity and her femininity. Mm-hmm. If both of y'all have the same level of masculinity and femininity, it's going to be, you're going to be bumping heads a lot. But hopefully your masculinity and her femininity has a gap. That's going to save you a lot. Now, it could be that you are a man and you're not very masculine. And so a lot of women are up here and they have more masculinity than you are. You know, look at Kay, for example. Kay is a strong-willed woman. So if your masculinity is lower than Kay's, it doesn't mean that you're weak, or it doesn't mean that Kay's too strong and overbearing. All that means is that Kay might not be for you. So why don't you wait around and wait for another woman who has this gap that you can walk into this marriage with? So I would look for women who have this gap. And a lot of women in dating and girlfriends, they'll pretend like they have it. Some of them won't even, because you're so, but you gotta really watch. A woman will watch unconsciously to see how strong you are as a man. Men, we don't really do that. We're looking at other things, let's be honest. So what you need is to get a gap between your masculinity and her femininity. If y'all are too masculine, it's at the same level, no matter what your masculinity is on a scale of 1 to 10. If you're a 10, then you can pretty much date any woman, right? You can marry any woman because there's always going to be that gap maybe. But if you are a 6, you got to watch out, because there are some women who are 7s and you're going to get destroyed in your own marriage. You want to date the 3s and the 4s and the 2s. So that's what I would say. You have a girlfriend, is that right?
Yes, that's true.
But we go.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Did he before the billions, did Lee answer your question?
Yes, he did. Yes.
Okay, cool.
And I wanted to say thank you guys for answering my question, and I'll open it up for other people to come on.
Thank you.
Oh, it's got Lauren. I was about to talk to this man for 30 minutes. You do your thing.
That's why I said he may have a girlfriend, but the Lord don't need to know. We appreciate you before the billions.
Shout out before the billions. I'm sorry. I've been trying really hard.
It's okay. You can't help it. It's the lead in you.
I like that. I like that. It's the lead in me.
Hi, Pastor Z. How are you?
How you guys doing? Thank you for letting me on.
Yes.
All right. I already see with your name that this is absolutely going to be a question for Lauren. So I'm waiting. What do you got for Lauren? Because I can't answer anything religious.
Well, I guess I just had a comment on, the previous person talking about, God and marriages. And yeah, that's really my realm as a associate pastor of my church here. But God doesn't promise that everybody will get married.
No,
and I loved what the lead attorney said about, focusing as men, we need to focus on ourselves, because when you read the Bible, God really has a lot of parameters around a husband And that's where a lot of issues begin, where a husband needs to have his heart checked, needs to have his physical desires checked. I mean, it's just a lot of men aren't. And one thing I commented on is the red pill community is focused on men getting women. And sometimes I have friends that have spent decades, I'm talking decades, just rotation, rotation, rotation. And the problem is what you're doing is you are growing this lust appetite. So where at some point you won't be able to commit to one woman because your body has been for sometimes 15 years sleeping with whoever you find attractive. So how are you going to stick to one and focus on the beauty and the commitment and the mutual support of one woman when for the past 20 years you've just been just going. So if a man is going to get married or thinking about married, he needs to really first, as the lead attorney said, start working on himself. And, you know, I'm a big proponent of chasing Jesus. I understand not everybody believes in that, but, you know, in order to have a good marriage, you know, it's really important that both parties are focusing in on their heart and what drives it, you know. So
Yeah, I appreciate that, and for clarifying that, because I know there's women, and I'll talk about this on another show, but there's women out here that won't get married, to your point. Like, he doesn't promise that, and there's some women who are settled in the fact that they may never get married. And so you have people out here that's like, that's a lie, you know, every woman wants to get married. But no, like, God crafted people out here to be single, and he gave them he gave them a mission. He gave them you know, a promise in a different realm. And so I wholeheartedly agree with that. So thank you for your perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think there are very specific reasons why you can tell if you should be married. And, you know, essentially, if you don't have the desire, that's one, that's men and women. If you can't find anybody suitable because first marriage, the two were suitable for each other. And third, if you don't know your purpose, your life's purpose.
Your purpose. Yeah. Yep. You're right. Thank you so much, Pastor Z. Do you have a YouTube channel?
I do, actually. Thank you for asking. Right now, very small. So, you know, I do appreciate this shout out, but you can find me as Zachary Carroll on YouTube. My YouTube channel is called Christian Hood Talk, where from a Christian perspective, I apply the Bible to all of life's craziness. I have a video on there talking about 3 biblical reasons why you know you should be single in this season. I have I'm starting a biblical alpha male series that just dropped yesterday. So yeah, just go check it out. It's real small, but you know, got to start somewhere.
Do you think Jesus was an alpha male?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Not according to this red pill stuff, but he was on a mission. See, the first step in becoming an alpha male is
I shouldn't have opened this can of worms.
No, you shouldn't.
I'm sorry about when he said alpha male and Jesus. I had never heard of that before. So I'm sorry about that. But so yeah, we got the answer.
To his channel. Go to his channel and watch the video, lead, and everybody else who's interested. Thank you, Pastor Z. We're gonna get to somebody else.
Lord is over here cracking the rip.
Listen, you got to get through. This is still in the middle of the workday. Hey, TJ.
Shout out to TJ Randolph.
Hey, you guys. Hopefully you don't mind me just having my picture. I am, you know, I have to keep things private. I'm holding my grandbaby, so certain, you know, while she sleeps, so certain people don't get that privilege of seeing her. But thank you for allowing me on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We're excited to have you. What's up?
No, I just wanted to shout out to both of you, and you know, I feel like the proud Annie because you all are just doing the most. You understand me? And I swear, you know, I put in the super chat, is it just me or do you all feel the chemistry that's happening between the two of you? I don't know.
I don't know either. Gotta stick around for the ride.
Yes, I feel the chemistry. It's palpable even.
Yeah, Lauren's a good girl. She's super sweet.
I appreciate it, TJ.
Congratulations on your channel, Lauren, and Lead again. Thank you always for your support and allowing me on. And you you've helped me grow. I'm over 400 now. Say what?
Wow,
Woo!
congratulations.
Longer than TJ.
Congratulations,
There
TJ.
you
My
go, TJ.
goodness.
I
So
love
that's
to
That
all.
is such
I just
fast
want to say,
growth.
yeah, I want to just congratulate you, Lauren, and you look
thank
beautiful, and the chemistry is real. I'm just saying.
you.
And but to your point, since I got married late, I will say I had to do some work, and I'm still a work in progress, as we all are. But I am not the TJ I was 10, 15, 20 years ago. Uh, it requires a lot of introspection,
Mhm.
some critical self assessments, and some apologies to be made for the things that
That's
I did
important.
wrong, to prepare me for now. So um, it's a work, and that's one of the reasons I did start my channel, because I want young women, and to me, I say young women is anybody younger than me, to learn from the things that I didn't do right, to save yourself some time, to learn that you don't have to have the superwoman cloak on all the time, because we're not that super. I mean, not all
Mhm.
the time.
Right.
And so that's why I started my channel, to help, to give hope to some people that may not have hope. And that's men and women, because I will say before I go that there was a young man, and I said, well, actually, he's a year older than me, said that he was glad that I shared my story, because he's 55 and had never been married, and was beginning
Oh,
to think that he never would be.
oh.
But
Yeah,
now he
that's
has the hope of that he can be.
yes. That's why stories are important, man. Thank you, TJ, for sharing and for creating the space to share. Because that's one of the goals for myself on my channel, is just to be like transparent and to show the transformation in the journey. Like, it's not everybody's not born with it, right? And so I think that's important to share. So I really appreciate you, TJ.
Thank you, and y'all have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. You too, TJ. Salute.
Who else we got up in here? You got somebody else? Hi, Ola.
Hola.
Hey, what's going on, TLA?
Hola and Lola.
What's
I love that. I'm doing great. How are you doing? It's so good to see you over here.
good to see you, man. Good to see you, Lauren. Nice to meet
Yes,
you, Lauren.
thank you. Nice to meet you. What's
Uh,
up?
Not much, just hanging out. Just wanted to say shout out to Lapeef Network first of all,
Yes.
because I think this is gonna be a great show.
Do you have a
Uh,
fan on in the background?
yeah, I do. I have the
Just a little loud.
believe it or not, I have the heat on. I like to stay warm.
I hear
Oh,
that.
Yeah,
We are an African people, aren't we?
exactly.
what do you have for us today, Ola?
Right. So, my thing is that I think we need a lot more shows like this discussing relationships, love, marriage, because I do think it spreads over into our professional life and everything we care about. I think our outlook on relationships and marriages is basically our outlook on everything else, basically, right? I heard a few comments from the TLA that I really appreciated today, but also on the show that he did a few days ago. There's a gentleman that just spoke, the Pastor Z. He just talked about the red pill community, and I see there's a gentleman trying to dispute that in the private chat. But I think more so he was talking about the audience, the audience, and what the audience tends to gravitate towards more. And I think TL has also spoken a lot more on the red pill rage, and I think it's because it's because of the power of the algorithms and the power of how things go very viral, spread wild. The negative tends to, spread wilder, right? There's positive in what we're all learning: the nature of a man, the nature of a woman, the nature of the masculine and feminine energy, right? But when somebody is coming out of a place of pain, right, or a place of bad experience, right, they tend to gravitate more towards the negative. And you can see that some of the videos that probably go the most viral has that element in it, right?
Right.
So I think this kind of space, because we have a channel where we do more like short form content.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate this long form. I don't have time for this long form stuff, but I appreciate this long form stuff because I think people can hear the context and not just run with the sound bite, right?
Mm-hmm.
When people talk about the negative when people talk about the negative of what happens in the courtroom, which is I'm not sure if that's the worst case scenario of marriage, but it's sort of kind of worst case scenario, right? When people hear just that, right, and they can relate with that, they tend to gravitate more and more in that arena. So in the women community on YouTube, there's already a few channels that people tend to hang out in the comments, and it's very toxic, and things like that. But I just wanted to say I appreciate this show, and I think JR and the rest of them and the powers that be should keep it on, because you can hear some context and not just running with sound bites.
Yeah.
I'll say this last one thing: if you listen to TLA, if you run into a soundbite where he was scolding the gentleman, I don't know if you put that video down, the gentleman that was basically saying his ex-wife was a cool people's, but at the same time was basically trying to heat up into his pockets, right? When you listen, if you listen to the short form video, right, it's easy to run with, yeah, don't do that. But when you listen to the context, the long form, and listen to when he talks a little bit more into what's possible, I think people can learn more from that ultimately, So, but we can't save everybody, So, but again,
right.
shout out to you guys. TLA, I'll hit you up on the site later. Shout out to Lapeef.
Yes.
Kudos.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right.
Stick with this, y'all, because it's, I understand, like, this space is not I guess, like, popular, right? People want the drama, they want the negativity, they want the all that, but it's gonna be a slow lift off, but I'm gonna rock with it. I'm gonna stick beside it. What's up, King Messiah? How are you? And you on mute, by the way. There we go.
How y'all doing? I'm glad to be on the platform. I'm kind of my first time going live, so this is exciting.
Perfect.
Me too. Welcome. So I'm kidding.
Right, so shout out to the lead attorney. I'm gonna definitely be joining the Patreon and so forth. But
thank you so much, King.
Yeah, absolutely. And so my question is, I was listening to the mediocre tutorial video, and he was saying something about the lead attorney was on the mediocre tutorial, MTR.
Okay.
They were mentioning about some people don't prefer going to the courthouse. They may just have an agreement, and it was with a young lady. The platform, it was with a young lady. I want to know you guys' take on actually going to the courthouse and getting married, or having like an agreement that also will suffice, and that being like the highest level of trust that you can instill with your partner. So I hope I'm not confusing the matter.
And so I'm a little bit confused as to the question. If you go to the court, listen, if you're married, you're married, and if you're not, you're not. Now there's a blurry line, because in some states you cannot be married and act like you're married, and that action turns into a marriage. For example, in Texas, there's common law marriage. So in Texas, and it's not like you have to wait 11 years or 7 years. You can do this in a week and act like you're married, and Texas will say, okay, you're married. Right. So the key is, don't play house with a woman unless you're serious. Don't try to walk all the way up to the line and then stop and try to get cute, because in certain states, they will push you over that line. They will absolutely push you over that line, and you will find yourself losing half of the equity in your home, half of your brokerage accounts, half of your stock options and the equity that's in your cars and everything like that. You can lose the shirt off your back, to be honest. And on top of that, you'll be losing your kids. So, I just do not suggest that men try to play this game of let's see how close we can get to marriage and not be married. If you don't want to be married, then don't get married. Don't sign any dang agreement, right? And find out what the laws are in your state. But don't hold yourself out to be married.
Get out of the relationship, please. Do not.
Well, I don't agree with that.
You just said, Lee, that if you are not wanting to get married, don't go that far. And typically, it's not just about being with somebody. Like it's if you're going to be with a woman for 15 years, in her mind, y'all are basically married. If you don't propose, right? So that's the same thing. So if you have no intentions of getting married, well, just walk away and continue to sow your royal oats across the world and do what you do. But no.
Okay, because I was going to ask you, Miss Lauren. Also, I like that you're entering the sphere. I think you're going to be amazing.
Yes.
Can't wait for you to have a Patreon. I'll get my wife to be to sign up for you, Ms. Lauren. But
Yeah.
what it's all about in my case was, I was just saying, as far as going to the courthouse in opposed to not, and you answered it very well. Some people, I think they were saying like the highest level of trust will be to have that type of agreement and that type of situation with your partner, as far as being like not having that the things that's connected to going to the courthouse and going that route. But
What agreement? When you say agreement, I'm totally lost.
You get on Microsoft Word and you type up something? Is
I'm
that
gonna
what
say,
you
you know, I know I'm overcomplicated. I'm sorry. So basically, a man
Thank
and his
you, Lord. Hi.
wife to be, they say, hey, this is the arrangement that we have. We're not going to the courthouse, but we're married, let's say, and she trusts in him through whether it's some type of that's how it would be. And instead of going through the loops and the hurdles that can go with going through marriage, as you were saying earlier, the downside of being married, because there is a whole sector that's saying don't get married, and I don't know the name of it, but there's it's a huge movement where they're like, men, you shouldn't get married.
Yeah, red pill community, pretty much.
Thank you. So their justification on not getting married, it had me scratching my head. They were saying, no, we're not saying don't have a union. We're just saying you don't necessarily need to go to the courthouse.
No,
well,
don't subscribe to that, man. Do not, y'all, just get married or don't be playing in the gray space. I mean, Lee, I don't know where you stand on that, but that don't rock with me, and I would not encourage any woman to stay in the relationship where you just floating in the gray space. Like, one, that's not cool. Just don't do it. Like, no.
And I would encourage it if it's something that will make you happy and something that will make a woman happy. I think Lauren is assuming that all women want to get married.
No, I'm not.
Well, listen, Lauren, because you said you don't encourage it, but if a woman doesn't want to get married and a man doesn't want to get married, then what's wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with it, Lauren. So there's nothing. If a woman, listen, women have brains, women have desires. If a woman does not want to get married, there is nothing wrong with her living in a gray space.
And
that's going to make her happy.
I know women, because I'm a woman too, and women have emotions. They may say they're okay with not getting married, but if you're living a life where you're practically married, it's going to get to a point where out in the blue, you're going to wake up one day and be like, well, why haven't you proposed? And he's going to be like, boo, we already talked about this. This ain't what we doing. Like, I know how women can be.
But that's why I said you're assuming that all women want to get married, Lauren. You said that a woman's going to wake up one day and say, why aren't we married? That's what you just said.
Yes, I did say that, but I'm saying like they could.
Wait. First you said that First you said that you were not assuming that all women want to be married. But now it's come out that you are assuming that all women want to get married. Yeah, go ahead.
So, right. I know people who have been in relationships 10, 15 years. And yes, that narrative has been said. I don't want to get married. I don't want to get married. They get around the right people, or they get around people who have been married, and they start to fantasize. Oh, I wonder what this will be like. Oh, we already do this. Why can't we just, right? And then one day they wake up. It doesn't mean that they've always wanted to get married. Is that their environment perhaps changed, and then they would want to, and then the next day it could switch back off. I'm not saying that every woman wants to get married, but I'm saying that there are people who don't have a desire to, but enter into spaces and then it suddenly changes. I think the always piece, or all women, I think is what you're hung up in. But I get what you're saying, that I switched it, but I know women.
Okay, as long as we acknowledge that. As long as we acknowledge that.
I get what you're saying, but women definitely will agree to one thing, even if it's not a 15 relationship, maybe it's a year or whatever, and the man says, I don't want to get married, and because that woman wants to be with that man, they'll say, okay, that's cool, I don't want to either. And then it turns around that they actually do. Women be capping, women be lying. I know, because I used to be one. I used to be one that'd be like, okay, and that was not what I truly wanted. But what were you going to say, King?
And I'm not going to be long-winded. I'm going to let you get to the next caller. But I wanted to say, maybe in another video, or I'll do more researching. I want to know the pros and cons of actually, going to get married, because that's something we're not taught, and I'm thinking about going to the courthouse, getting married. But I want to know why this other community are so adamant about, hey, the benefits of getting married it doesn't outweigh not getting married. And that's something, maybe a whole nother video can be dedicated to the the benefit, the cost analysis, the cost risk, and which one, because I think people are coming together and creating these agreements because they're realizing that the risk is just way higher than the reward. And that's something I'll study more on. But thank you guys and ladies for just giving me that feedback, because it's something that I've been really, scratching my head, because I'm thinking about going to the courthouse like within the next month or two, so.
All right, here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to do. You need to take $300 and go down to an attorney's office in your city and pay him for an hour of his time and let him explain to you what the risks are. If you don't want to make this $300 investment in your life, that should show you, really, it should show you a lot of things. You are worth more than $300. Your value is worth more than $300. If you don't have $300 to sit down with an attorney for an hour, a divorce attorney, not a civil attorney, not a criminal attorney, not a DUI attorney, sit down with a divorce attorney who's been practicing longer than 15 years for an hour. If you don't have that money, you are not financially capable of getting married anyway. $300 should be nothing for you if you're thinking about taking on a wife.
Oh yeah, no,
that $300 will inform you as to what the risks are. You in your head as a man, you already know the benefits that you're going to get. What you don't know is the downside. You don't even need to worry about the benefits. The benefits are going to be there. You need to worry about the risk, and you don't know them. And how could you know them if you're not an attorney, right? Yeah. So it's not a shot at you. It's no shame. What I'm telling you to do is just inform. We all have huge pockets of knowledge that we're missing, and we just try to learn them, right?
Exactly.
So that's what you need to do. Take $300 or $250 or $200, whatever someone's going to charge you. Spend 1 hour and just sit back and say, okay, attorney, tell me the risks of getting divorced. And that attorney is just going to sit back, and he's just, for an hour, he's just going to open your eyes, and that will be the best $200, $300 you've ever paid in your life.
Well, thank you. I'm here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. I'm at my mattress location in school.
Oh, fantastic. You down here in Stone Mountain. You down here with us. You're down here with us. Shout out.
I love the platform. I'm going to let somebody else get the airspace, but I appreciate it. Y'all should be seeing more of me. I'm going to hit the Patreon. If Lapeef got a Patreon, I'm going to join it. I'm jumping in. I'm diving straight in the deep end.
Awesome.
Do it. Thank you.
Salute, King. Look at that. People want to support you on your Patreon. Who would have guessed? Oh, what do we got going on here?
Listen, I'm scarred.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Where did he think he was calling me to?
I was about to be left.
I have confusion.
Oh my God. He had me thinking like I was the third wheel. I was like, hold up. This is my date. What are you doing?
I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me both? Hey, shout out Lauren, the lead attorney. Can you guys both hear me?
Yes. Shout out to
God,
the
you guys got me
Egro
off. What just happened? I don't even know what just happened, man.
That was wild. He was posted up.
He had the arm up and everything. He was ready for whatever.
He was posted.
These days, I've been out the game too long, maybe.
Yeah, like I don't.
That's the first for me.
Hey,
that's crazy.
I appreciate you guys bringing me on. Support you, Lauren, and getting your channel started up. But I think what's missing a lot, like the brother who's just on, right? He talked about the legalities of marriages and all these other things. And the question that a young man like that is, he didn't say anything about the woman or the quality of the woman or anything about her character. And I think what's missing a lot is that with the dialogues, that women sometimes, their conversations are mostly with other women. And they really never talk to men, like the lead attorney or like myself. And I know the guy earlier, he comes on with this dusty narrative about, the first guy, the religious guy, about guys, this and guy. There's a lot of single black men out here. I'm a retired guy. I'm 46 years old. I've made less than 6 figures in the last decade or so. The lead attorney is a successful lawyer. So it's this idea of these dusty black men out here that don't meet the standard. it's a false narrative. And I think Kevin Samuels talks a lot about this color purple mentality that a lot of people in the Black community have, especially when you talk about Black males. There's a lot of eligible Black males out here. And I think one of the messages that are not getting through to the women a lot is that one of the things that sets you apart from another woman is your ability to maintain a peaceful home. Because you think about it, a guy comes home after a 16-hour day, which I've done. The last thing you want, see, guys are very uncomfortable fighting with women. No guy wants to fight with a woman. He doesn't want to debate with you. He certainly doesn't want to hear about your job. Forget about that. So he's come home from a 16-hour day. He's gotten beaten up all day. Like the lead attorney's probably arguing in court. I probably responded to about 20 calls that day, arguing and fighting with people. The last thing that guy wants to do is sit around at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. One, have an empty stomach. Two, fight with the woman in his life. So that's a part of the narrative. A lead attorney had mentioned before, everybody talks about the what, the why. But everybody doesn't never ask what or why or ask in-depth questions about relationships because nobody has the experience. And then we always spin the narrative to the extreme, So, I mean, that was just basically my statement is that you don't get enough brothers like myself or the lead attorney who worked in the profession to actually conversate. And I think the best thing that women can do is talk to men like myself that can give an honest answer. Without getting offended.
Right.
Because I always ask a woman when she asks me a question,
like,
you want the blue pill answer, where I give you a bunch of BS and make you feel good in your emotions, or do you want the red pill answer? Not the red pill platform, the red pill answer, which is the truth. Because I remember having a dialogue with a young lady before about her social media page, because she said she wanted to meet a man and wanted to have a husband, but everything on her page was advertising for the streets. And I didn't want to, I told her that and she got mad at me. I mean, she ended up apologizing maybe a week later, but these are things that are important to guys that is not being mentioned or talked about. But that's all I want to really add to the comment is that people never really get that narrative. Like the young man, the first thing I would ask him, well, tell me about this woman. Have you had an argument with her? What did the argument turn into? Did she take the low blow like how Kate does to Anton? Did she go low about your height and this and this and that? Because those are the things you have to deal with when your times
those
are tough.
red flags. Yeah.
Times are tough. Marriage is hard. You go through your ups and your downs, and you have your emotional whims. And the question is, how do people fight? And I always have this rule called the do no harm rule. And you never figure out what people are about until they're triggered. When you trigger a person and they get angry, that's when you really find out the truth about their character and what they're made of or how they handle adversity. And I think that ability to do that. So for me as a single guy, here's what I do when I look at a woman. I imagine myself in an RV for a week, 7 days, and I'm traveling in the RV with a woman. The question is, if I'm driving from my home up here in the PA area, and I'm going south towards Florida, am I going to be jumping in the Chesapeake River before I get down there because this person is driving me nuts, or I'm going to be driving down the highway with a smile on my face? Right. And those things matter. So I don't want to take up all you guys' time, but
thank you, Roger. You're 100% right. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, shout out to Roger, the Ingram experience. Love that background. This is super.
Oh, thank you, brother. Hey, I'm happy to give input, and like I said, I give advice to the ladies and the fellas because I want to get into the substance of relationships because we can look at the superficial things, but at the end of the day, you still have to live and deal with each other every day. So how do you learn how to deal with each other if you don't have the experience that it takes to be in a relationship or understand the dynamics of divorce and marriage or anything like that? So,
right.
Facts.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roger.
Hey.
Bye. I think we have one more lead.
All right.
Cash
Flow Hustles. How are you doing?
Hi.
How's it going, TLA? You remember me from over on your channel, right?
Absolutely. That's why I hit the horn for you. It's good to see you.
They are coming over. Look at you, lead. How are you, Cash? What's popping today?
Yeah, you know. So I rock with TLA hard, man. I rock with them hard.
I appreciate that.
And Lauren, I rock with you hard because you are really a breath of fresh air over there on Lapeef and all that stuff. Really a great breath of fresh air.
cute.
And with the
Thank you.
females, that's a little difficult to find these days. For it seems like it has a lot to do with this gender war situation and the
Yes.
conflict, the constant. And war is conflict. Anytime you're at war, it's a battle and a conflict and a constant fight, struggle, and this is against each other.
Right.
And it's been up, kind of high. So that was my main question. I mean, I had a couple other things I had. I got a couple other ones. It was basically the legal and religious thing. I'm following behind the guy that just got off, the Ingram guy. Very logical, very calm, very rational. I don't see how anybody could disagree with what he just said and the way he just presented his thing, because he presented it in a calm, logical, rational manner. And when it comes to this legal and religious stuff, like the dude was talking about the legal, marriage, to get into paper or this and that, living together for 40 years, or even the religious thing where he Catholic and Baptist and all of this type of stuff. Very simple answer to some complicated situations. You have to match up with the same values, meaning religiously, spiritually, whatever. If you have come from a religious background like I do, or if you have high religious, or spiritual, values and all this type of stuff, very simple with a complicated subject, they have to match. That's simple. Meaning whoever you're talking to, they don't have to agree with you 100%, but they have to share the same religious values. It will cut out a lot of problems if you're unevenly yoked. And the legal aspect, as far as, should we get a paper? Should we just shack up for 30 years? Or should we go down and get this paper and get this done? It's really simple. It may be a little complicated, but at the end, we need to kind of agree on those values, on those complicated subjects, so that those very complex situations don't continue to just get into the weeds and the spaghetti if we match. Because if you don't match, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Regardless of how far down the weeds we go, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah. What I found, and I have a lot of married friends, is sometimes it's the little things, like you said, that you need to find out that actually get in the way and then become bigger than what it is. So the small questions that should be asked typically aren't asked until it's too late, and you're already in this agreement, this marriage. And yes, and it's the little bitty questions that could have just been answered early on in the dating or courting phase. So I totally agree.
Yeah, they just need to match up. I mean, and if you cover them, you don't have to worry about it 10 years later. They just need to match. And if they don't match, it's not saying it can't work with a Muslim and a Catholic or whatever. I ain't saying it can't, impossible for it to work, but that's going to be a big problem down the road. That, it can be overcome, but why go in with this big, rock on your shoulder, and you're trying to go down this long road of path to life together? You get this huge, gigantic boulder between the two of you, and you recognize and y'all acknowledge, yeah, he's this, he's that, I'm that. Like, okay. I mean, but that's a biggie. That's a big value question. So if that could kind of align on some level, even if they don't embrace or join or whatever it is, but they can align with that value on some level in the beginning, then down the road, it won't become a big, giant issue. So it's simple. It's kind of simple, even though it's a complex situation.
Yeah, people just don't take the time. I think there's a lot of, because sex is entered into the equation a lot earlier, it gets clouded. They don't really relationships don't really want to have conversations. And one of my most, I don't want to say the one that got away, but one that I'm like, it definitely could have worked out had the timing been off, was the fact that
this is a bad first date. What are we talking about? The one that got away?
No, Lee, you was just talking about the women that you used to date earlier, so don't even do it.
I caught myself before I went down that road.
Let's not. But no, it was the fact that we took time to really have conversations. Like our most valued nights were just sitting in the car for hours just talking, right? Then sex
You're
was
killing
not even
this date. You're messing it up.
Into the equation. So I am not killing the date, Lee. Relax.
No, that's good though. You're right. That's good. When you have those spontaneous conversations that you don't have to force, and they just flow naturally, and 3 hours have gone by and it felt like 15 minutes, those are beautiful.
Yeah.
That rarely happens when you talk with somebody and you get so wrapped up into the conversation, time doesn't even stand still. That's a beautiful situation where the two of you really have a great mesh. It's not common, but it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
And I want to hear one last thing, and it's specifically toward Lauren, because boy, Lauren, I don't want to gush and whatnot. But
Here we go with this. Okay.
Man, Lauren, you are a breath of fresh air. I mean, with all this mess going on, my main question was about Lauren, and it has to kind of do with this gender war thing and kind of what's going on out here. Was about Lauren and Black femininity. Lauren, the wonderful, beautiful Lauren, and Black femininity. Now, I'm going to say something about you. You really, I don't want to put a pressure on you, but you really are a great, and because, we've had a lot of conflict over Lapeef about some situations and all that. We've had some conflict over there. You are a great example of how this stuff could work.
What happened?
I guess he got cut off. It wasn't me, guys. Lauren.
I'm just kidding.
Shout out to Cash Flow Hustles. Excellent man.
Was it Cash Hustle Flow?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's Cash Flow Hustle.
Cash Flow Hustle. Okay.
I believe so. Yeah. Excellent guy. That was not me cutting him off. He was exaggerating a lot. Come on, like it's Lauren, okay?
I was like, okay, what else?
Listen, y'all build her head up so high, and then y'all make it hard for me. All right, listen, because then she gonna be at home talking about, Cash Flow Hustle said, listen, Cash Flow Hustles, relax. No, I'm just teasing. Don't be losing my words, lead. Yeah. You are aggressive. Darius or somebody was in the chat talking about, Lauren is like a perfect sweet potato toasted perfectly on all sides. It's like, what the?
Y'all know y'all be coming up with some stuff, man.
Guys, you guys are killing it. You guys are making it hard for your boy, man. Let's keep these women's self-image a little bit lower. All right, a little bit lower. Shout out to Darius. The sweet potato, perfectly toasted on all sides.
This super chat.
So difficult.
It's super dope.
Okay, what is Sun is? Okay, read it out for us.
Sun is Hot Rod. This is literally a daytime television show on Black relationships with an attorney and social media influencers. I hope this develops into your own podcast, just the two of you, with much love. You know what? See, I don't know. Lead is about sick of me, okay? No, I'm kidding.
No, I like that's how you do it. Damn, Darius over here talking about you're a sweet potato toasted perfectly on all sides. Like this is like Darius, listen to this comment. That is how you do it. Thank you. And I'm just messing with Darius is my homie. He supports me so much, man. So shout out to Darius. But you call a perfect sweet potato.
Listen, I'll be a sweet potato. It's my favorite.
Oh my God, perfectly toasted on all sides. Okay, dude. But listen, yeah, shout out and listen. I want to thank you for having me on here. I know your time is getting short.
I want to thank you for even coming on and just agreeing to this. This whole idea of like having our first date publicly.
How does it feel? Night. Listen, it's all
dropping it home. We talked last night.
Listen, it's perfectly fine. I love coming over here and supporting all of these damn sweet potatoes. Shout out to Lapeef for hosting us, for hosting this on his network. I talked extensively about how important networks are, and Lapeef has one of the most important networks in the whole sector. So shout out to Lapeef and all of the people associated with his network. Shout out to Anton. Shout out to Rilla. I gotta shout out the brothers. I gotta shout out the brothers, man. If you could be a sweet potato, let me shout out the brothers.
Listen, Lee, I was gonna let you rock because I respect you, but brother, listen.
She said because I respect you. Listen, if people can call you a sweet potato and you're all like, let me shout out the brothers.
Listen, call me what you want. Y'all call me what you want, but you keep it respectful, okay? But anyways, I want to say thank you to for sure JR, Anton, the whole Lapeef Let's Talk family. Number one, you got Rilla, Courtney, and Kay, and then shout out to my homegirl Lucky. she's been on the show a couple times. But that's my homie that I've never met, and to talk about this network, right? You talked about the network. Anton talks about just networking in general, and the network has like literally this is how you see the network work, people, right? I literally tapped into a show, and once you continue to tap in and you continue to comment and call in, then you really get a chance to really get in the mix. So I just want to say, shout out to JR.
Yeah, shout out to JR. Shout out to Dario, who just came in with a $50 super chat. So shout out to Dario, always supporting your boy over here, and now is supporting the Lapeef. Now is supporting you, Lauren. And this is what we talked about when we talked about networks and community and why it's so important. So salute to Dario with a $50
Oh,
super
shout out
chat.
to Amira. Yo, I didn't leave her out purposely. Absolutely, shout out to Amira.
Oh my God, you ignored it. That was this is how
Listen, that's why I can't do.
that was shade. That was
No,
shady. Y'all see her trying to leave a mirror in the dust,
no,
right?
no, don't be trying to start no drama, Lee. That's not. I will kick you off asaptually. Okay, you will get the boot. Okay, the no drama this way. I love Amira. Like, that's gold. She is winning. Okay, she has the bag. She got the man. She got it all. So shout out to Amira. I'm not even joking. Okay.
Salute to Amira, man.
The only reason why I didn't call Amira because Amira's on the network, but she's not on the panel. I think folks be getting that mixed up. Like, she's like, when you see the Lapeef Let's Talk little icons, it's everybody is Rilla, Courtney, Kay, Anton, and JR. And then Amira has her show on the network. So y'all, it's it's a vibe.
I just tease you. Listen, I did the exact same thing in my stream. I have a small mastermind that I have. And I said, in the middle of the stream, just free flowing, I don't know why it occurred to me to list out every person in the damn mastermind. And I listed one person twice and forgot another person. So I just tease you. It happens. People, when you're trying to remember all these names, it slips out. I was just teasing you.
We finna wrap this up, y'all. I really hope you all enjoyed lunch with Lauren.
Where did the femininity go? Did you guys see how quick that femininity left?
The femininity is still here. What are you talking about? This is what I mean. We can explore this on the next lunch with Lauren. What are you expecting? Just because my voice got a little louder, the femininity goes out of the window?
I was just making an observation.
I'm very curious. Is that honestly what men believe? Is that if a woman get the volume gets louder, then they're not feminine anymore? Right, how quickly we jump from femininity to masculinity? That's very quick.
Lord, I'm just teasing. I'm just fucking with you. Listen, we do this every night. Don't try to trip.
Your whole clan is over here, Lead. Let's make it plain. Let's make it clear.
Listen, everybody knows you are the model of femininity. What did my man Darius say? You are a sweet potato, toasted perfectly on all sides. Everybody's checking for you. When I have a show, everybody's asking, where's Lauren? What's up with Lauren? How much can I pay to take Lauren underwater in a pool? Shout out to that dude.
You live that down.
I cannot believe it. I was in the live stream, but I kept reading it. Am I reading this right? Somebody wants to pay you to take you underwater in a pool. It's so random. So listen, I'm just teasing you, Lord. Everybody's checking for you, man.
I cannot deal. Anyways, I appreciate you, Lead. I really do.
No
Thank you for coming on the show.
Listen,
thank you all for tuning in. And so hopefully y'all enjoyed this lunch with Lauren. It is I would say a show like no other. It's super chill and we just vibe. And if you're looking for some spiciness, maybe this ain't the one for you, but we talking, we vibing over here. And so I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. And that's all I have to say on that. So with that said, Lead, thank you. Y'all can catch him on his channel. I'm sure all y'all are following him, but that's where y'all can find him. And then he can talk to y'all in depth and he can ask you about your girlfriends and all that stuff. So
Lord, you are something else. Well, thank you guys so much for inviting me on. I really appreciate it. Shout out to you. Shout out to Lapeef.
Yes. All right, y'all. We're going to wrap it up. I cannot. This is funny.
Oh, my God. You got crunk with your boy.
Yeah.